Welcome to the Masters in US Complete Guide. If you've not watched the previous video, I'd suggest you to press the link in the description, which will take you to the whole playlist so that if you come in order, you can maximize your understanding. Now, let's start with step one. It's all about deciding to go for MS. So, it's going to break down your complete decision, to go for Masters. Let's start with the first question. Question is, why MS? Why not other options? You have so many brilliant options. Like, you can go for a job right now, you can go for MTech, which is basically going for masters in your home country, or you can go with the government job. You have the UPSC exam, become an IAS or some kind of a government employee. And then you can go for an MBA. You can work in companies. You can combine your engineering background with MBA, which is a very common thing that you can see in India. And then you can also pursue your startup, or if you have a family business, you can probably join that. So there are a ton of options, and I want you to take the decision to pursue with MS, if at all you're taking that decision, with utmost confidence. And one thing that you need to understand in this is opportunity cost. What is opportunity cost? Let's take an example. Let's assume that your goal is to make maximum money using your education or masters, whatever it is. And let's also assume that after masters you get a salary of $100,000 per year. And again, let's assume that if you would have taken the startup route, you would have made $1 million. Right. So your opportunity cost right now would be $1 million, and the value that you are making right now after masters doing a job is 100,000. So you're essentially in a $900,000 loss. This is obviously just an example, to explain what opportunity cost is. But this was basically the intention of listing down all of these options so that you're confident that you are taking the right decision and you are going for masters. Because I've seen a lot of my friends and a lot of people who, like, they are in the process of applying for MS, and the process takes a lot of effort, a lot of resources, and a lot of your time. And halfway through the process they get a job and they're like, no, okay, let's drop this plan and just go for a job. And then after 1 year of doing a job, they think they took the wrong decision, and they just want to go for MS again. So I don't want you to end up in the same position. So please be confident and look at the other options you have. Another question that might come up is, which country? Now, I am going for US, and I'm going to list down the reasoning behind that. But I want you to consider every single other country. Just don't go for US because your relatives are there or your parents want you to go for US, or maybe you've seen a Hollywood movie and you think US is a cool place. All of that is okay, but please do your research about other countries too, so that you're not missing out on any opportunities. And then let's come to my reasoning of why I chose US. It might be the reason why you're choosing US, or maybe you have other reasons, and these reasons are highly subjective. But let's just go through them. Now, the number one thing is obviously salary. For tech job or the tech industry, Silicon Valley is something which is very famous for this, but the salaries are the highest in the US for tech workers. No other country can beat these salaries. So that's one reason. The second reason is quality of life. Especially now, this might depend on where you are right now, but since my target audience is mostly Indian, I'd say that US is definitely a step up in quality life. You can, in terms of infrastructure, law and order, communities, etc., etc. I can just go on about this, and I don't think anyone will disagree on this fact. And the third one is your value of time. The salary over there is given by the hour. Now, you're not paid every hour, you're paid weekly or bi-weekly, but the salary is given per hour. Let's say $15. I mean, that's very less, but $15 per hour. So what this enables is that if you happen to work overtime, they will compensate you per hour. And in some companies, they even pay double for the overtime that you're doing. So the work-life balance over there is very, much better than what it is in India. And I am pretty sure that anyone working in corporate India who has also had the experience of working abroad is going to agree with me. The fourth reason is that US is the tech hub. Now, that's something that you cannot argue about. Google's headquarters, Facebook, Microsoft, all of these huge companies, huge tech companies came from US, and they have their headquarters in the US. So, in the near future or in the next 50 years, you're not going to see a decline in the jobs. There's always going to be more jobs than people who are applying over there, especially for the tech industry. Another benefit is going to be your diversity. You're going to find a lot of people from a lot of places. You can exchange ideas. You'll get to know a lot of people from different backgrounds. Now, that is something that I look forward to. That might not be something that you're looking forward to. It depends. Again, it's subjective. And then you will have a lot of new experiences. And assuming that you will be living independent, that's in itself a huge experience that I would suggest everyone to take. Coming to the next question is, why not US? Now, I've seen a lot of seminars before making this video. I've seen a lot of seminars of people making people talking about masters in US, and nobody talks about this specific reason, like why would you not choose US? And nobody mentions these points at all, especially the seminars that you see that are company sponsored, that are sponsored by a company, or consultancies which help you to go for masters. I don't want to name any company right now, but you get my point. So they are going to make money if you sign up for their services, right? So they're obviously not going to tell you about these points. So let's start with the first one. It's homesickness and relatives. Assuming you're from India, if you want to travel from the US, from America to India, it's going to take you a minimum of 20 hours. So it's not a 15-minute or 2-hour drive to your house. It's going to be a very huge distance, and you're going to be homesick. You might miss a lot of functions which might be very important to you. Now, that's again very subjective. I've also talked to a lot of seniors who did not feel homesick at all, and they were cool with video calls and speaking to their relatives and parents. So again, that's up to you. Another very important thing is about the H-1B visa. Now, another disclaimer is that the immigration process in the US is a whole I need a whole different series to talk about that. So I'm not going to go into the immigration part, of international students, but you can find a lot of resources online. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. You can just go on YouTube, you can go on the internet, you can find countless blogs and videos on this. But I'll just give you an overview. So after masters, when you opt for a job, and let's assume that you're working in the US, you'll be working on a visa called the OPT, which enables you to work for 3 years, assuming that it is a STEM course. Now, let's say that you intend to work more than 3 years. So 3+ years, you will need a visa called the H-1B visa. Now, this visa has a small disadvantage, or there's, let's say, a small policy that if you are unemployed, if you are fired, if you resign for any reason at all, you have no job, you have exactly 60 days to leave the country. Meaning that if you do not get a job in these 60 days, your visa will be invalidated, right? So let's assume that you are looking for a job and you did not get a job in the next 60 days after being fired or after resigning. Your visa will be invalidated, which means that you will have to go back to your home country. And this is something that might seem not that complex or that huge of a deal, but my seniors, I've talked to a lot of seniors and in good companies, and they say that this is something that really bugs them. Because when you go outside and you improve the lifestyle of people around you, of your family and yourself, now suddenly losing your job and going back to your home country, where obviously you will not be making that much money. It's a blow. It's something that you don't want it to happen with yourself. So this is something that you have to keep in mind. And then sponsorship. Now, the H-1B visa cannot be applied by the immigrant itself or the student itself. The H-1B visa has to be applied by the company, right? So this is why you're gonna see two questions in every single job description in the US. The first question is gonna be, are you legally authorized to work in the US, which basically means if you have a valid work visa, because you cannot work on a tourist visa, right? There are certain visas which legally authorize you to work in the US. So, they're just making sure that you have that. The second question, which is most important, is whether you require sponsorship. Now, this is the most important point. The H-1B is filed by the company, as I said right now. Right, this is called a sponsorship because the company has to actually spend resources, spend money to file this H-1B, and from some estimates, it is almost $5,000 per applicant. This is a round figure. If I can find any sources, I'll link it down. But the company has to spend almost $5,000 to sponsor you or file this H-1B, and you absolutely require this to work. And as we know that the nature of capitalist companies is going to be maximum profit and minimum loss. So due to this sponsorship, your priority is going to always be the least in the sense that they will always prefer a citizen first before you, because they don't have to spend that money with lawyers and attorneys or legal team, etc., to file your H-1B, because citizens do not require a visa at all, and you will be requiring a visa. Now, there's a few exceptions to this. For example, if some company, for example, Google, Facebook, and all of these companies have a lot of money, so they don't really care about this as long as they get a qualified person or the best person to actually do their job. And another point is the green card. Now, let's start with what is a green card. A green card is nothing but permanent residency, meaning that you are almost a citizen, meaning you cannot vote, but you will not require visas like the H-1B, and you will be exempted from the policy of the 60 days rule. For example, if you are fired and then you don't have to find a job in the next 60 days, you do not require sponsorship. You're basically equivalent to a citizen. And if you hold your green card for 5 years, you can actually even become a citizen. So I would suggest you to go through the rules, because I don't exactly remember it. I remember an overview. So if you want the specific points on these, you can obviously Google them or go on YouTube and actually do a deep dive into them. So green card is nothing but permanent residency, and you're free of all of the visas, etc. You don't need a visa at all. Now, you might be thinking that, okay, green card is something I want because I don't want to be in a H-1B policy. I don't want to be jailed by the 60 days policy, so I want a green card. This is what's going on in your mind right now, I assume. Now, even I did not believe this, but for Indian-born Indians, the waiting line for a green card is 150 plus years. I know, even I did not believe this, but I will be linking a source in the description, and you can look for yourself, or even you can Google it. But if for Indian-born Indians, now this statement itself seems so weird. Why would I say Indian-born Indians? Now, a fact is that if you are born in Saudi or any Middle East country, you are still an Indian, but the green card line is differentiated based on the country you are born. Let me clear this a bit. This is so untidy. Okay, so it's so the green card line to give the green card is differentiated based on the country you are born. So if you are born in Saudi, you will be standing in the Saudi line, and since a lot of Saudi citizens do not actually want the US citizenship, so the line is very short. So if you're born in any other country, you will be getting your green card in 1 to 2 years. The only problem is with India and China, because people before you have so many people before you applied for this green card, that there's a huge line and there's a quota for a green card. For example, let's say 100 green cards are to be given to India, but the applicants are 10,000. So where do the other 9,900 applicants go? They'll apply again next year and they will be given more priority, which means that you are every single year you are being pushed down the queue. So that's an overview of why it might take 150 plus years for you to get a green card. So this is also something that you have to keep in mind if you want to settle in the US, because there's a lot of people who just want to um, work for 3 years or 4 years, 2 years, and just go back to their home country. So if you're one of them, I don't think you have to. I don't think this is a really huge concern, but if you want to settle for long term, this is something that you should look into. Coming to the next part, it's deciding finances. Do you need a loan or is it self-funding? Sit down with your parents if you're and talk about self-funding. If you have, if you are the one who is going to sponsor yourself, you can look at your assets. You can look if you can fund yourself or not. Now, I'll give you a rough figure. I'll be breaking this down in the further steps. I think I'll be breaking down this in step 3 and talking more in detail. And I'll be sharing you the bills of my seniors who have paid their university fees. But to give you a ballpark, and to not leave you empty handed from this video, I'll give you a ballpark of 40 to 50 lakhs. Now I've made a few assumptions. The first assumption is that the INR to US rate is 75 rupees, 75 to 80, let's say. And the second assumption that I'm making is that you are watching this video in the year 2022. So this video, this figure is going to be 40 to 50 lakhs. Again, I'll make another assumption. I'm making another assumption is that you did not get any scholarship, you did not get any assistantship or any kind of a discount, and you're not even doing part-time jobs. So this is the complete ballpark figure that you can take if you do not get a scholarship and you do not intend to work on campus at all. Another thing I want to mention is that international students in the US are allowed to work only 20 hours per week and only on campus. If you work, there are a few students who work off campus and they take their salary in cash so that the government doesn't know, but that's 100% illegal. If you are caught, you will be deported that exact moment. So please don't do that. So you're only allowed to work on campus 20 hours a week. So many people think that you can make enough money to pay the university fees. That is completely wrong in the US, unless it's an assistantship. If you're working any on-campus job, let's say delivery or in a cafeteria, etc., those kind of on-campus jobs, you can only cover your living cost. And probably save $100-200 here and there, but not your fees. You will have to take a loan if you cannot figure out any other way. You will have to take a loan, or if your parents have enough money, or if you have any property, etc., sit down, decide your finances, and see how much funding or resources you have, how much you need, etc. And I would go as far as to say that 70% of students who come for masters, they actually come on a loan. So don't hesitate to take this option. Again, it depends on you and it's very subjective, but just keep your options open, keep both of them aside, and take a decision based on which one is better for you. Another question that I get very often is is work experience worth it, and if is saving up worth it. And I wanted to discuss this because a lot of my classmates and friends and people around me in my friend circle, they decided to not go for MS and actually work for a year or 2 or 3 years before going for masters. And now I want to divide these people into groups. The first group says that they want to save up for MS. Now, for them, I'd like to say that if your savings are going to be greater than 10 lakhs in those years that you are intending to work, whatever years, 1, 2, or 3 years experience that you want, if your savings are going to be above 10 lakhs, it is worth it to stay back and save up if you don't want to take a loan or if you don't want to take your parents' money, etc. It's worth it if you will be able to save 10 plus lakhs for your MS. If the amount is less than this, it's not worth it. Just go on a loan and you'll be making much more in the US compared to India. Now, the second group of people are people who say that work experience actually matters in their MS profile, and somehow if they do a job for 2 years or 3 years, their profile will be better than other applicants and they can get a good university. Let me tell you one thing, that this notion is, in my humble opinion, completely false, because I have seniors who have a lot of work experience, and I've seen a lot of people apply. I've helped a lot of people, and work experience has almost negligible effect on your university admit rate or university applications. Now, there is one exception to this rule. The exception is that if you are doing a job in a tier 1 company. What is a tier 1 company? Let me give you a few examples. It's Google, Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Amazon, companies like these. If you are working in these, it has a weightage on your profile. But any other companies, just the word work experience won't get your foot into the door of a very good university or something like that. So it's a trade-off. You have to take a decision whether you wait and take a lot of work experience, or do you just jump into the world of MS. Now, the last thing I want to discuss is the intake. This is the last decision that you're going to be taking before confidently diving into the world of MS, is whether you want to go into the fall intake or the spring intake. There are two intakes. There's also the summer intake, but it's not that famous, or it's not that opted for engineering students, so I've not covered that. So I'll be talking about fall and spring, which are the most famous ones. They differ obviously in the starting month. Fall is going to start with August. August 3rd week, 4th week, something like that. And spring intake is going to start from January of the year. And then the second point is intake. Fall has a much greater intake. Because most of the students, they come in fall, so the intake in fall is going to be much higher than spring is going to have a little less intake. Scholarships, obviously you will get a lot more scholarships in fall. I think this could be because the intake is also higher, and you'll get a bit less scholarships if you're applying in spring. And courses and faculty, this is an important point. Now, again, assuming that my audience or whoever, if you're the person watching this video is from India, the education system in India is very different from the education in US. In US, you're given a lot of autonomy and independence. So you're going to choose your own courses, you're going to choose your own professors, you're going to choose your faculty, you're going to choose your timing. So in India, usually you're given a syllabus, you're given a timing, you're given a professor, and the professor is working 24 hours. I mean, the only job that the professor has is teaching in the university. But in the US, you're going to find a lot of professors who work part-time. For example, they have their own startups, they have their own research going on, and they're going to be teaching you part-time. So these professors, what happens is, certain courses are only offered in fall. Let's assume that data analytics is only offered in fall, but not in spring. And that happens a lot. And most of the courses and most of the professors that come to teach, as I said, that the professors are part-time over there. most of them. So that professor might be available only in fall and not in spring. So you might have to wait for fall to actually take that course. And then for example, you want to take a course B, and then there is a prerequisite course A that you need to take first, and this course is only offered in the fall, so you won't be able to take this course at all. So with independence also comes this complexity that you have to maneuver as a master student. And registering for courses for masters felt like shopping on Amazon, kind of put this course in the cart and this course in the cart, and then you get how many credits that you're doing in the course, and then subsequently a bill is generated based on the courses that you took. We'll be talking about that in depth in the further steps when I talk about finances and the fees, how the fees is broken down, and how you can control the length of your graduation degree. Some people, you might have heard about this, that some students graduate in a year, some students graduate in 2 years, most of them graduate, from India graduate in 1.5 years, and I'm going to break that down in further videos. So with this, we're done with part 1. And if you have any questions at all, you can head over to my Instagram. I take questions every Saturday. Link will be in the description. And with that, we're done with the part 1 video, and I hope to see you in the next video where we discuss part 2, which is all about preparation for MS.